Take a look at this book cover. Does it tell you anything? Hey guys, welcome back to Book Your Imagination. My name is Anne. This book cover, more than any other I think I've ever seen, completely entranced me from the moment I saw it. I absolutely love it. The book is Calvin and it's by Martine Leavitt. She's a Canadian author. If you haven't made the connection yet, there was a comic strip, I don't know, some years ago called Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin was a little boy and Hobbes was his stuffed tiger. Except when no one was around, Hobbes was real and Calvin and Hobbes got into all kinds of trouble. This book cover is really subtle in suggesting the Calvin and Hobbes comic strip, but it's definitely there. I first became aware of this book in my first year on booktube in 2016. I had a series called Book Awards Season. There are a boatload of book awards where the short lists and long lists are announced between January and April, and then the winners are announced between April and August or September. This book won the Canadian Governor General's Award for Best Young People's Literature. And as soon as I saw that, I wanted to read the book. But I wanted to check it out from my library, and the library didn't have it. So since it was an award winner, I was absolutely sure they would be getting it. So I kept checking and kept checking. The library never got it. And finally, I'm just like, oh, just buy it. So I bought it last week. It was first published in November of 2015. Here's the synopsis. Calvin was born on the day the very last Calvin and Hobbes comic strip was published. His grandpa gave him a stuffed tiger named Hobbes, who, like the cartoon character, was Calvin's best friend. Calvin's neighbor was his other best friend, coincidentally a girl named Susie. But Hobbes was washed to death, and Calvin and Susie started growing up and growing apart. Calvin is now 17, and he's been diagnosed with schizophrenia. He can see and hear Hobbes. Calvin is convinced that he has become the cartoon character Calvin, embodied in real life, that on the day he took his first breath, he breathed in the essence from that final cartoon. And he is convinced that if Bill Watterson, who created Calvin and Hobbes, draws one final cartoon that shows Calvin without Hobbes as a normal teenage boy, then he'll be cured. So he and Susie set off on a dangerous trek across a frozen Lake Erie from Canada to Ohio to track him down. This story was absolutely charming and I really loved it. It's told in first person from Calvin's point of view, but it's told in the form of a letter that he's writing to Bill Watterson. He's writing it at the end of the adventure and recounting all of the events that happened up to this point. The author writes dialogue more like a play than like a novel. Here's an example. I just picked this at random from the book. Noah, putting down his pan. So, Bill Watterson. Met him once. Susie and I both looked up sharp, but he was poking at the fire. Me. Nah, you didn't. Noah. Susie. Really? Noah. Nice guy. Quiet-spoken. Firm-minded man. Not so much in the looks department. This is really simple to read, and you really get a sense of being there, even with something as simple as this line, Noah, with nothing after it. You can just picture Calvin looking at him, waiting for a response, and Noah just looking back at him. No adjectives, no adverbs, nothing to describe it, but you still get it. Honestly, I didn't think walking across Lake Erie was going to be all that interesting, but it really was. But then again, he does have schizophrenia. In real life, he and Susie have grown apart, but here she is volunteering to walk across Lake Erie with him. Was she really there, or was she a figment of his imagination like Hobbes is? The story is pretty short. It's just 192 pages, so it's a quick, fun, easy read. As always, this is #JMO, just my opinion. If you like what you see in here, please consider subscribing to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching.